channel. It's been a while since I've posted a video, but I am back with the How to Adult series, and today's video is going to be about driving licenses. Now, a lot of my students are year 11, and so they've just finished school, they're 16, and they're going to be turning 17 within the next academic year. So a lot of them have been talking about, oh, I want to drive, I can't wait to drive, I want to get my driving license. But the thing is, a lot of them don't actually know what is needed, what the rules are, and what the limitations are. So this video is to help them and to help anyone who's interested in getting a driving license here in the UK. So these are the important things that you're going to need to know to get your driving license here in the UK. So first thing we should talk about is age. So you can apply for your provisional license, which is the little green card they give you that you can use to practice and learn with, at the age of 15 years and 9 months. Weirdly specific, but weirdly specific is the way it is. You cannot drive and get behind the wheel of a car until you are 17 years old, but you can have your provisional before that. So that's the age restrictions. If you're over that age and you're applying, then that's absolutely fine and you won't be affected by it. But for those of you who have just finished school and want to learn, 15 years and 9 months, you can apply for your provisional. Cannot drive until you are 17. So yay for the September babies, and not so lucky for those born in the later months of the year. There are conditions to your provisional license when you're learning to drive. First condition that you need to be aware of is that when you are driving, you must have L plates visible on the front and the back of the car. Second thing is, you cannot drive unless you are accompanied by someone who is over the age of 21 and has had a full UK license for at least 3 years. And you cannot use the motorway. That is unless you are with a driving instructor in a specialist car that has the dual controls. But other than that, then you should be okay. Driving test. There are 3 parts to the UK driving test. Part 1 is the theory test. That's the bit where they actually ask you about all the rules and laws of the road. Part 2 is the hazard perception. You take it on the same day as the theory, in which you need to be able to pick out certain problems and hazards from a video that you'll be watching. And the third one is the practical test, where you're actually in a car and being assessed for your driving. You have to pass all 3 in order to get your UK license. If you pass the theory test but not the practical, then you can retake the practical as many times as you need to. But if you don't pass the theory test, then you cannot take the practical. So you have to have the theory and the hazard perception first with your certificate, and then you can do your practical test. So now that you've passed your test and you've got that shiny pink license with you, you need to remember that you still have restrictions. If you get 6 penalty points within the first 2 years of having your license, then your license will be automatically revoked and you will need to redo your theory, your hazard and your practical test all over again. For some of us who didn't pass the first time on certain tests, that is going to be an absolute headache, because there's no guarantee that you will pass again. But you need to be careful. And if you do happen to get those 6 points on your license, they stay on your license even after you redo your test, and they will stay on it for a specific period of time. So the UK uses a cumulative penalty point system where you can decide to have points put on your license instead of facing prosecution. You can get it for various offences such as speeding or drink driving. They range from being on your license for a minimum of 4 years up to a maximum of 11 years. And you can get a maximum of 12 points. And if you happen to get 12 points within 3 years, then you'll be taken to court, and then a court of law will decide whether you keep or lose your license. So the aim of the game is to avoid getting points. You also need to remember, depending on what transmission you take your license on, you will have restrictions on what you are allowed to drive. If you do your license in a manual transmission and you pass, you can drive either a manual car or an automatic. However, if you only do your test in an automatic car, then your license is restricted to you only driving automatic cars. So you need to decide which one you want to drive and what kind of license you want to have. If you want the flexibility of being able to drive both, or if you know you just want to drive an automatic car, so you're going straight for the automatic license. So, summarize. There are restrictions for you as a learner driver. So certain things such as showing your L plates, not going on motorways, and having somebody with you in the car. Once you do pass, you need to be careful you don't get any points on your license within the first 2 years, because you're just risking everything that you've worked for. And you need to decide on what kind of transmission you have, because that will limit what kind of car you can drive. As you've noticed, I have not mentioned any costs, because it will depend on where in the UK you're doing your test, because driving lessons vary on location, amount, discounts, deals, or whatever. The only things that are constant are the prices of the theory test and the price of the practical test, which is regulated by the DVLA and gov.uk when you book your test. Hopefully you found this video useful and you found out information that you needed or wanted to know about learning to drive here in the UK. Remember, share, like, subscribe. Comment down below if you have any questions or requests for videos in the How to Adult series. And I hope you enjoy the random little video that I have at the end of me driving to work.